Chinese researchers of the giant Sky Eye telescope claim they're picking up alien signals. According to the official news release of China's Science and Technology Ministry, the signal could actually be from alien civilizations. This news comes a year after the U.S. intelligence community acknowledged that a series of mysterious flying objects have been seen moving through restricted military airspace over the last several decades. The intelligence community's 2021 release of the unclassified documents mark one of the first times the U.S. government has publicly acknowledged these strange aerial sightings. This year, researchers with Beijing Normal University reported findings of several cases of possible technological traces and extraterrestrial civilizations from outside the Earth. However, after the official newspaper of the Ministry of Science and Technology published the report, it was then deleted from their website. Since China's Communist Party has been known as masters of propaganda and engage in intellectual property theft, the international community of space agencies are very skeptical. Here's everything you need to know about the official government releases of UFO data and China's alien signal picked up by the Sky Eye telescope. China's Sky Eye Fast Radio Telescope. Located in China's southwestern Guizhou province lies the world's largest radio telescope, Sky Eye, also dubbed FAST. The 500-meter or 1,640-foot aperture spherical radio telescope began operation on the 25th of September in 2016. Although there's not been much attention on Sky Eye, today it's breaking headlines as cosmologist Zhang Tongji, chief scientist of China ET Civilization Research Group, vouches that Sky Eye has located several narrow-band electromagnetic signals different from the past. That suggests that China has detected candidates for signals from seemingly extraterrestrial intelligence, including a suspicious signal from targeted exoplanet observation data. But don't hold your breath or count your chickens before they hatch. Chief scientist Zhang Tongji admitted the possibility that the suspicious signal is some kind of radio interference is also very high, and it needs to be further confirmed or ruled out. This may be a long process. Is it even possible? Yes, China's giant single-dish radio telescope does have the ability to detect faint radio waves from pulsars and materials in galaxies billions of light years away. The Sky Eye Observatory was built at a $171 million cost. And since late 2020, one of the telescope's main missions has been to search for extraterrestrial life. Beijing Normal University is working alongside scientists from University of California, Berkeley on the program. Together, they've identified two sets of signals from 2019 to this year. China's Sky Eye is extremely sensitive in the low-frequency radio band. Therefore, it plays a critical role in the search for alien civilizations. But caution should be applied before ringing alarm. The findings might be fake. The suspicious signals could just be some kind of radio interference. Unfortunately, the Chinese Minister of Science and Technology is not being so forthcoming. As a matter of fact, even Bloomberg News made calls and inquiries to the ministry, but they were unresponsive. Could it truly be a false alarm? Is China simply trying to make some headlines like the US government did in June of 2021 when they released info of unexplained flying objects? Let's go back down memory lane when the US intelligence community released its long-awaited report on what it knows about a series of mysterious flying objects located in space, flying above the seas, and even over heavily guarded military installations. The report showed the inspection methods of 144 reports of what the government terms unidentified aerial phenomenon. By the end of the study of these 144 encounters, only one case was fully explained by the end of the study. But on the other hand, investigators found no evidence that the sightings represented either extraterrestrial life or a major technological advancement by a foreign adversary like Russia or China, but acknowledged that is a possible explanation. Using the Pentagon's terminology for UFOs, the report reads, "We were able to identify one reported UAP with high confidence. In that case, we identified the object as a large, deflating balloon. The others remain unexplained," the report says, using the Pentagon's terminology for UFOs. A senior U.S. official said, "Of the 144 reports we are dealing with here, we have no clear indications that there is any non-terrestrial explanation for them, but we will go wherever the data takes us." The official also told reporters that investigators were convinced that the majority of the sightings were physical objects. He was quoted saying, "We absolutely do believe what we are seeing are not simply sensor artifacts. These are things that physically exist." He then noted that 80 of the reported incidents included data from multiple sensors. In 11 cases, pilots reported a near-miss collision with these strange objects. The UAP report. According to the 9-page report, investigators were stymied by unusual flight characteristics of the unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP. It also made it very clear that more work must be done to identify these objects, as the limited amount of high-quality reporting on UAP hampers researchers' ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent of UAP. Investigations were particularly obstructed by a limited number of incidents where UFOs reportedly appeared to exhibit unusual flight characteristics. According to the report, these observations could be the result of sensor errors, spoofing, or observer misperception and require additional rigorous analysis. The report further details, some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. In a small number of cases, military aircraft systems processed radio frequency, or RF energy, associated with UAP sightings. The report establishes that these UAPs exist. It's understood that enough data isn't available for in-depth analysis, and therefore, the report concludes that these objects clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. According to the report, safety concerns primarily center on aviators contending with an increasingly cluttered air domain. UAP would also represent a national security challenge if they are foreign adversary collection platforms, or provide evidence a potential adversary has developed either a breakthrough or disruptive technology. Now that's a cluster of risks verifying this, and is definitely not a false alarm. Then national security professionals' ears perked up even more, with a streak of fear causing goosebumps because the report also found that the sightings were clustered around U.S. training and testing grounds. To avoid mass panic, investigators downplayed these concerns, assessing that this may result from a collection bias as a result of focused attention, greater numbers of latest generation sensors operating in those areas, unit expectations, and guidance to report anomalies. It's just long-winded euphemisms to abstrusely say, since there's more gadgets and tech developments, and the fact that the alien community is growing with the years, there's naturally more attention, thus innately more reported oddities. Still, the Pentagon came out and said that it plans to formalize the study of UFOs. On top of that, a memo from Deputy Secretary Kathleen Hicks instructed the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security to create a formal mission for the work that's done by the UAP Task Force. Noting that many of the observations have been near military areas, Hicks framed the risk as a question of national security, saying, "It is critical that the United States maintain operation security and safety at DoD ranges." She then ordered all reports of UAP observations to be submitted within 2 weeks of an occurrence or observation. This is certainly no longer a fringe issue. The U.S. government finally started taking serious measures for what was once considered a fringe issue. For lawmakers and intelligence and military personnel working on unexplained aerial phenomena, the bigger concern is not that of alien life is visiting Earth, but rather that a foreign adversary, like Russia or China, might be fielding some kind of next-generation technology in U.S. airspace, while no one but the perpetrators are wiser. Since this is the case, most of the unclassified reports might come as a disappointment to UFOologists, who have been hoping for definitive proof the U.S. government has made contact with extraterrestrial life. Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, was quoted saying, "For years, the men and women we trust to defend our country reported encounters with unidentified aircraft that had superior capabilities. And for years, their concerns were often ignored and ridiculed. This report is an important first step in cataloging those incidents. But it is just a first step. The Defense Department and intelligence community have a lot of work to do before we can actually understand whether these aerial threats present a serious national security concern." These reports might be even more disappointing because if the sightings were the result of Chinese or Russian technology, either some kind of unknown aircraft or a technology system that can spoof U.S. radar and other surveillance and reconnaissance systems, the intelligence community would be sworn to classify some data. Art of War 101. Do not reveal what you know or do not know to one's adversary. Some of the information in the reports might be too sensitive to publish. Nonetheless, the fact that the intelligence community is producing reports on what the Pentagon has labeled UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, is itself extraordinary. Investigators tried to categorize the 144 sightings into 5 categories: airborne clutter, like birds or weather balloons, natural atmospheric phenomena, U.S. government or industry developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, and an alluring catch-all, other. Within this wide range of phenomena, most of the 144 sightings covered in the report were recorded by U.S. Navy pilots. But officials are still stumped and are forced to admit that there is not one single explanation of UAP. What's your explanation for these 144 UAP cases, extraterrestrial, supernatural, or foreign or domesticate combatants? And what do you make of China's Sky Eye telescope receiving these seemingly alien signals? Sound off in the comment section below. This has been another report from Space Infinity. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe for more.